Yay. So yeah, so Susanna's recording this, so y'all can watch it later, or those that didn't make it can watch it later. We'll have it up on our blog today or tomorrow. Welcome. Yes. Let me get my bearings here. So I'm Mickey. I'm with a company called GreenMellen Media. I know a lot of you already, those that don't know me. We have a little office off the square. We build lots of WordPress sites and designy kind of stuff. Susanna's on our team, as well as Ashley and Allie, who are coming in. They're figuring out our lunch still, and Chantel can't make it today, but that's us. Look us up, greenmellenmedia.com, on our blog. Again, in a day or two, we'll have a video of this. If you get lost along the way, you can go watch it over again. Just some news, a couple fun things from Google and WordPress. Google Webmaster Tools that a lot of us love and use is no more. It really is. They just call it Search Console now. So if you're used to us talking about Google Webmaster Tools and how great it is, now we'll say Google Search Console is how great it is. It's the exact same tool, same report, same layout. They say people are getting turned off because they weren't webmasters. I'm not a webmaster, I'm a blogger, I'm a writer, but it was still a good tool, so they want to make it just a more friendly name. And then Automatic, the folks behind WordPress, purchased WooTheme, which is important because that is also WooCommerce, by far the most popular e-commerce platform around. And some people like that they did that, so that's good. I have no problem with it either. We use WooCommerce a lot. It could stand to have a few other fixes to it, so hopefully Automatic will get it squared away. They plan for now to keep it completely separate, so nothing really should change there either, but just kind of a fun big news there. Somewhat random news, Tech Talent South. Richard Sims emailed me a few days ago. They've got a few more classes starting this summer. If you're looking to take like big paid courses on this kind of stuff, they have an intro to web design, intro to programming, and a part-time code immersion program. So Tech Talent South, if you look them up, if you're wanting to take more classes to enhance your skills, they've got some cool stuff going. Allthingswordpress.com, our website. We'll have the video up there as well. We have a Facebook group, LinkedIn group, Google Plus community. If you have questions in between meetings, certainly go there. Ask, like, hey, why is my header blowing up? Why is this going wrong? We're all happy to help throughout the month. Come join us and hang out there. I sent out a poll earlier in the week asking about days. We were considering changing the day of the week, and a lot of you answered. I think we had like 68 replies or something, and overwhelmingly you said, we'd love to be Thursday and absolutely not Monday or Friday, so we're just going to leave things alone. We've been looking at maybe some other space that couldn't do Thursdays, but I think we've done Thursdays for so long, y'all are used to it. That's why we did the poll, and so nothing is changing there. But thank you all for your responses to that to help us make that decision. Coming up, June 4th, in this very room at this time, back in the back there, Diana and Aaron talking about development workflow, set up through deployment. You want to add anything?
Sounds pretty impressive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's certainly more developer focused, but I mean you'll always pick something up at those too. Next month on June 11th in the evening, Kathy Druin's group, Find Your WordPress Happiness. What are you talking about there, Kathy? What happiness are we finding?
You bring your struggles and we will make you happy.
There you go. Perfect. So bring your laptop and your woes and she'll connect you with someone that can fix it. She's meetup.com/WP Atlanta, I believe. The other one for these guys is on our same meetup page. You probably saw it there already, and that's up for RSVP. And then next month for us, June 18th, I just added this to the site this morning or yesterday. You can RSVP for content blogging from start to finish. So we're kind of talking today about getting your site going, getting the hosting figured out, getting installed, getting plugins added, kind of getting going. Next month we're going to talk more about, once it's live, how to generate content, how to find the right keywords to use, how to use the SEO tool to add those keywords, social media, email marketing, still kind of a high level of a lot of different things on how to take, now that you have your site, how to actually put content on it and distribute it a bit. So that should be kind of fun. That's really about all the news we have. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about installing WordPress from scratch. A lot of you have probably seen on WordPress they have the famous 5-minute install, which isn't really a 5-minute install if you actually count the things that you need to do, but it's not too bad, and we're going to walk through that. I have a test site we're going to walk through live and do it, so I'll try to take my time there so you can see how that goes. Why would you want to install manually? Because there's a lot of other tools to do it. One is less chance of having issues along the way. A lot of you, some of you at least, have mentioned use Fantastico or Softaculous or some of the tools built into your hosting, and that can work pretty well. One problem there is sometimes those will install WordPress in a little funny way that it won't get updates as often, and it's a little harder to know what you have. can do the job, but it could go a little sideways. Part of it too is knowing what you have. Again, if that installs it somewhere, you don't really know what's going on, and if something goes sideways, you have no idea how to fix it. So if you learn how to install it by hand, you can go in and fix it. It's not a whole lot different in a lot of cases. And it really doesn't take long. It's big and scary. We're going to talk about FTP and some big words, but ultimately it's really not a big deal to install manually. So we'll be digging into that. WordPress itself is 1,192 files in a database. If you have that collection of files in that database, that is your entire site. That's your posts, your pages, your widgets, your menus. You know, people say, I have all that stuff, but where are my widgets? It's all, literally all there. If you need to move a site, if you can get all the files and take that one database, put them on another server, that's everything. And so we're going to show you how to do that. And really installing it is basically just downloading those files from WordPress and putting them on a server and then setting up a database for WordPress to use. And that's it. Again, finding those can be a little tricky the first time, so we're going to walk through that. But that's ultimately all WordPress consists of out of the box. And then the two tools we'll use today, FileZilla is the FTP program we'll use. That was overwhelmingly the ones you guys choose to use. There were a few others here and there. Aaron had some weird one I never heard of.
That's much better.
Yeah, much better, yeah. FileZilla is much more popular, easy to use, it's free. You can download it, search for FileZilla, you can download it. Be careful, it likes to come bundled with like toolbars and other garbage for your computer. I guess that's how they make some of their money. So install it slowly, don't just next. But it's free software, works well. And then we'll use cPanel for the hosting side of it. I don't know what percentage, most hosts use cPanel. WP Engine uses something different, GoDaddy uses something different. But if you're on Bluehost or ClickHost or HostGator or
GoDaddy, actually, I was just in there recently and it seemed like
okay. They do have it, okay. I guess, yeah, GoDaddy has different levels.
This is the noise of the people who came late and they're eating.
The ones I've used before are some other thing, I don't know, but cPanel is the most
Made you feel
popular.
like you were here.
The same. Really, we just need to go in there to create a database, and it's going to be similar wherever you go. So we'll work through that. We're going to do this. You don't necessarily need to pull this up, but I purchased May21meetup.com, which is a dead site right now. So there's nothing there. So we're going to walk through making that become a live WordPress site. So I'm going to kill the slides. We normally share our slides. I can post them, but the actual presentation is live, so the video hopefully will get enough of it. The slides are kind of worthless because they end there. Yeah, so let's dig into this. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so now you're seeing me clicking around. So, like I mentioned, we have, kill that guy. We have May21meetup.com. Here it is. Again, that is, we set up a site. It's on HostGator in this case. Nothing there. We got it. I bought the domain name, pointed it over, and I'll show you how that works real quick. I didn't want to do that live just because that sometimes can take 30 or 40 minutes to propagate, and I didn't want us to just stand here waiting for that to happen. I'll show you how that works, though, in case you need to. But that's our site. It doesn't exist. It's like you bought a brand new hosting site. So, yeah.
For people that are new, you might have to get on the internet.
Yeah, what's the Wi-Fi called? I don't even remember.
It's Cobb Library.
Yep, there you go.
You will need you'll need to go into your browser and register to the library page.
There you go.
Then you might have done it before. I know on Mac it makes you go to Safari.
Gotcha. There you go. And there's not much need to be online today necessarily. Certainly, you're welcome to take notes. This is more showing you can write it down. It's going to be hard to follow and do this stuff along with me, but hopefully you'll understand what's going on and you can go from there. So in GoDaddy, we have May21 Meetup. I was going to show you how you get it set up. Because you go buy your domain name wherever, and then you set up hosting. They send you this email with, here's FTP, and here's name servers, and all this stuff. The only thing you need to do is change your name servers to point to your hosting account. And don't worry about how ugly or long they are. It's going to say, this is what your name servers need to be. I'll blow this up a little bigger. You can see. And in this case, it's ns773.websitewelcome.com. So we say, okay, manage that and change it to whatever your host told you to use. They'll tell you what to use. I'm going to say custom, and you just punch them in and say that, and that'll take effect in, they'll say up to 72 hours. It's really about a half hour most of the time. Doesn't take too long. Can take a little longer. The one catch is, if you have an existing site and you change name servers to a new host, this changes your email settings too. So you may blow up all your email. So proceed with caution a bit here. If you have Google Apps and other things, it's fairly easy to fix, but if you just change it willy-nilly, you're going to break any email on that site. So that's the one word of caution here. You can break things bad. But again, if you buy a new domain, set up hosting, say, here's the name servers, punch them in there, give it a little while, and suddenly you have a beautiful site that looks like nothing. Let's see, so that's that. So, getting WordPress going. Step one is to download WordPress. So on WordPress.org, they have the big blue download button in the corner. We click that and download it, and it'll give us a big zip file. I already have it downloaded because I've already got it feel kind of slow. We'll see how the upload goes. But you download the file. It's one big zip file. You guys hopefully have used zip files before. If you extract all the files, you have your 1,100 some files for WordPress sitting in a zip. The way we do it that's kind of convenient, especially since I bounce around different computers, every time a new version comes out, Susanna or myself downloads it and unzips it and puts it all in Dropbox. So whatever computer I'm on, I can just go to Dropbox and there's the latest WordPress. I can upgrade a site with or install a new site or whatever. It's just convenient. Again, it's super easy to download whenever you need, but I like just having that at my fingertips and not have to worry about where I am and what I have going. So now we'll go to FileZilla. That'll be our next step. So FileZilla, if you haven't used it, it's kind of a confusing interface, but there's really not a whole lot going on. On the left here, these panes are showing your local computer. Here's what's on my computer. On the right side, here's what's on the server we're connected to. And on the bottom says, here's what's going on transferring files. So really, we just want to have our WordPress and have our server and just say, all the files go over there. So the way we'll do this in FileZilla, there's a few ways to do it. If you click this little tiny drop down in the corner, you can actually add sites and organize them and keep them saved there, which I recommend you do so you don't have to type in the credentials every time. And really, there's a way, and Susanna and I can talk to you afterward, a way to save that configuration file in Dropbox. So between my 3 computers and Ashley and Susanna, we all have the same file we share in Dropbox. If I add a new site, hey, we got a new client, I add them to FileZilla, it's magically on their computers too, so we're not all having to keep adding different people in. For the ease of time today, I'm just going to key it into the top here, though, and just get us connected. So this would be the information from your host. Your host said, hey, welcome to HostGator, welcome to ClickHost, welcome to whoever. Here's your FTP information. That's what we're going to put in at the top here, is the FTP credentials. So we have May21meetup.com. Username is May21. The password, none of your business. We'll connect. And so we'll connect, and now we see on the right we have a whole bunch of stuff on our server now. On most hosts, public HTML is where your website lives. The other ones are used for different things that you'll probably never ever need. Whoops. And if we go into public HTML, you'll see there's our empty site. We have pretty much an empty folder, has a CGI bin that was, you could do some cool stuff with that like in the 90s. It's really not much use anymore. And an empty site. And so on the left here, I have WordPress. This is our Dropbox, but if you downloaded it or however you got it, we have WordPress. And so here's, I'll open up the full WordPress. So there's WordPress 4.2.2 right here, all the files in this bottom pane. So I'm just going to do Control-A, select them all, however you want to grab them all, and just drag them over and say, WordPress, go. You'll see at the bottom, it's counting down. It's got 1,170 to go. It's going to be a few minutes doing that. So while that's doing, we'll go set up a database with our host, because that's going to take it a couple minutes. Again, it's not quite a 5-minute install, but yes?
Is there a reason to do it this way versus just setting up WordPress in the cPanel?
Again, that's what we talked about in that first one. If you set it up in the cPanel with Fantastico or whatever, they'll usually install a slightly forked version that doesn't get updates until they say you get updates, which your host may or may not. And a lot of times you don't know where it is. If something goes sideways, say, Tom, FTP in and go, if you just go delete that file, it will fix it. You'll say, what do you mean? I haven't done that. This is partly doing it this way is for your own education. So I know where the files went, I put them there. You know, if Mickey says if I go in and delete that file, it'll fix my problem, cool, I know where to go in and delete that file. You know, there's some advantage. That can work well. I mean, a lot of people do sites that way. Just, again, I like to have a little more control. I like to know, here's where I put the files, here's where I put the database, it works, and if something goes sideways, I know where they are. Not, Fantastico did it somewhere, and I don't know how it did it, and I'll call HostGator, and they'll have a ticket back to me in 24 hours, and yeah. So, what's the guy's name? I didn't write it down. The Jetpack guy that just had a big post about why you don't use Fantastico.
Oh, I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about. The big guy with the beard. But yeah, I can post it. We'll post it with our notes at the end. But a good post about why you shouldn't use those. He got in a big fight with some hosts about the way they do it. Because again, they don't just install WordPress. They have a slightly tweaked one. They say, well, we don't want you to get updates right away because we don't trust that. And you want to have control your own destiny. I'm all about having full control of what you have. So, yeah, that's that. So while that's going, it's still got another 500 files to go. We will jump over here and go into our cPanel. So again, when you set up with your hosting and say, hey, here's a link to go into cPanel with your name and password. So we'll go in there, which is probably going to be a little slower now on the Wi-Fi because it's uploading all the files too. The cPanel name and password is usually the same as your FTP. They usually keep it simple for you in most cases. Okay, so we're in cPanel. And really just one thing we want to do in here. Again, there are places in here, I'm not even sure where it is, where you can say, hey, install WordPress for me, but we're not doing that today. We just want to find the database section and just set up a new database, just a blank database. So down at the bottom here, it says MySQL database. MySQL is the type of database WordPress uses, by far the most popular type in the world. Every host supports that. So we just need to set up a blank one. And really what we're going to do, the analogy I like for this, is we're going to build a library. You know, your database is going to be a library. In cPanel, we're going to build just the building. Say, hey, here's our big building, here's our library, nothing else. When we install WordPress, WordPress is going to go and install bookshelves and get everything ready. And then when we start posting, it's going to be all the files that go up. So right now, we just want to build a big building that WordPress can use to store all their stuff in. So it says, you need to add a new database. And let me know if I'm going too fast here. I tend to go fast, and this is going to be hard to go back through some of this. Usually we can back up the slides, but a lot of this we do when we're done. So in cPanel, under MySQL databases, so make a new database, and it's going to start it with the name, your username underscore. And so usually I just keep it simple then, call it WP, something for WordPress. And create that. And there we go. Database is done. This is one of my frustrations with GoDaddy. On a lot of their hosting, you say, create a database. It's great, you're in the queue, your database will be ready in 30 to 60 minutes. Which is, like, it's done. It should be that quick. So we have a database, but no files are allowed to access it yet. So we need to make a user for the database. So on the same page, down at the bottom it says, hey, make a new user for this database. And you only have to remember this password a little bit. You give it to WordPress once and be done with it. I often call mine main, just, give it something different than WP just so I can keep track of it. And we'll give it a password. Let's see, we'll call it, let's make it my first name here, because you'll see me typing it in a minute so I can't hide it. It's a very bad password. Doesn't even like it. Let's see.
Is it password?
It's not. I want to make it something I can remember here. Let's see.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It doesn't like it there. Let's see. There we go. I'm never going to remember that, but we'll give it a shot. So create user. So now we've created the user for our databases, but we haven't actually given that user access to that database. So that's the last step we need to do here. So if we scroll down a little bit, you need to watch on my screen. It says add user to database. There's only one user and one database. So we say, yep, add May 21 main to May 21 WordPress. Cool. Add, and what privileges should they get? It's WordPress. I want them to use the database. You may be able to fine tune a few of these, but I would say give it everything. Let WordPress do what it needs on that database. It may need to add stuff and delete stuff and modify, and just all privileges. So make changes, and we're done. So that's all we need to do in cPanel. We've made a database. We've set up the big library building. It's empty. There's nothing in it yet. We have that database ready to go. Meanwhile, over here we look. WordPress has uploaded all of its files, so we're just about ready to go there. The one catch we have, there's one file you need to edit in WordPress. Say, hey, here's where my database is. So we'll look at that. We run out here. So looking at all the files, here's all the files, just a normal Windows Explorer view that we uploaded to our site. There's one called wp-config-sample. They call it -sample so that if you make a bunch of changes to it and upgrade WordPress later, it doesn't override your current one. The first time, though, you need to change the name to make it be that current one you want. So we will just right-click and rename it. We're just going to get rid of the word sample. This is going to be our real wp-config file. And then we'll edit this. You can edit with whatever you want. Different ways to approach all this.
Give us some ideas of what you're using to edit with.
This is a good idea. This is Notepad++ on Windows. Just a simple editor. Regular Notepad will be fine. Don't use Word or anything that has fancy, bold and italic and those kind of tools.
So Mac users would use TextEdit.
Yeah, TextEdit for Mac. Anything else? Mac users?
Sublime text.
Sublime text. Okay.
Brackets.
Brackets. Okay. So yeah, a lot of different things you can edit. And really, editing this and then editing code later is kind of a separate thing, because really we're just going here real quick once. But a lot of the tools, if you do edit code later, would use the same kind of stuff.
if it is the second website that you're loading into the C panel,
Okay.
what step would be slightly different?
Gotcha. Okay, good question.
So
So
that you're not copying over or erasing what.
gotcha. Okay, so two things. Good question. So in cPanel, you can load your one site and say, hey, give me, I think it's an add-on domain. You can add another site to it. So good question. Two things you need to do for that. Let me get back to, in my cPanel here, you need to make a separate database for it. So we have our databases here. You can have the same database user. We created that May 21 main user, but let's make a separate database. So you call it, you may want to be a little more verbose with your naming your, instead of just WP, call it, all things WordPress or, something so you can keep track of which database is which. There's nothing worse than inheriting a site and they had 5 sites and they're called WP1, WP2, WP3, you have to do some digging to figure out what's going on. But yeah, add the other database and then give the user access to the new one. It can be this, again, the same user or another one. Typically, pretty much have unlimited databases, unlimited users with any hosting.
Hey, Mickey, when
Yes.
someone asks you a question, can you repeat it?
Yes,
so
good
that
question. Yes.
because you're the only one who gets heard.
Yes, gotcha. And I think I did a little bit there, but that was, yeah, if you add another site to your cPanel, how do you add the other site without messing up your first site? And then in FileZilla, there's usually going to be, we had just our CGI bin folder. It'll usually make it as a subfolder, so it'd be a / all things WordPress. And you would go into there, whatever that other site is, and then just load all the files into there. And then we change the WP config and do some of that. You're welcome. So let's go back here now to editing that WP config file. So a lot of stuff going on in here, not too much we need to worry about. Database name, certainly an important one. So remember, it always starts with the username _ in cPanel. Different hosts may do it different. Our database name is just WP, so we'll clean that up. Be super careful with your quotes and semicolons, that kind of stuff. The username, 21. Be careful with your typing too. Main. And then the password. I'm hoping I remember what I got it to work. I had Mickey with a 1 and an exclamation. I think that's what it got it to take. So, and the thing with that password, you certainly do want to keep it more protected than showing it to a room full of people. But if someone has that password, they can't do anything with it until they've already broken in. So, you've got bigger. You still want to keep it protected usually, but the fact that you guys have that, you still can't do anything to my site without first hacking another layer. Well, I'm not too concerned. What's that?
Is that a typo? Yeah, it's a typo.
What typo? No, that's how. Yeah, I made it funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to just be Mickey to keep it easy, but the cPanel wouldn't let it because it was too dangerous. So I added some other stuff to it.
And you editing this file before you upload it or after?
Well, I'm going to upload it again. Usually you do it before, but I like to work on it while all the other files are uploading, and then at the end I can just upload this one again. But theoretically, yes, edit it, rename it, have it done, and then upload it all. It's a little easier, but then you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs while they're uploading. So this way, yeah, either way. Ultimately, we need to upload this file, and I'll show you that as well. The only other thing you really want to change is down here. It has these different keys. It says put your unique phrase here. Just give it anything other than put your unique phrase here. I mean, you can just add in a few characters. This is just for the way it handles cookies and some security stuff, as long as it's something different. There's tools that can make those bigger and badder. I'm going to do a little more than that, but that'll...
Right there's a URL online, I don't know, 40.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, take that URL, put it in your browser, and it generates all of those things.
Okay, there you go. Nice. Let's do that.
Okay, Mickey, say that again.
All right, so yeah, so on line 40 in here, Aaron pointed out there's this link I'm going to copy and pull up in a browser that'll generate unique codes for all these for us. So that could be kind of nice. I'm not, in the interest of time, but yes, that could be kind of cool. Good point. I've never even noticed that before. So yeah, that's pretty slick. But just have something unique there. You may need to edit other things in this file at some point when you're doing things, but for most of us, 99% of the time, that's all we need to do. So we'll save that file, and we'll close it. And so now in FileZilla, as Tom pointed out, that file needs to be uploaded. So now we have our WP config. Again, we uploaded everything. We probably could have changed the name of that first and then uploaded everything, but we'll just upload this one file now. And that's up there. And again, just keep an eye down here in FileZilla. Failed transfers, it would say like 1 or 50 or if something had a problem. Everything looks good on the side. Everything seems good there. Let's hope for the best. So if we refresh, hey, it's asking us to create our WordPress site. If you had messed up anything to this point, you get an error here saying, oh, couldn't connect to the database, couldn't do something. So we'll continue. We'll give it a site title, May 21 Meetup. Give it a username, not the word admin, please, for security, and then give it a password, whatever you like there. Give us your email. I'll do my little Gmail account I use for everything. And then allow search engine to index this site. For most of us, yes, but if you're setting up a test site to work on for a client or something, you want to uncheck that. Oops, hit it, sorry. Uncheck that bottom box because you don't want search engines indexing a test site. You want Google to ignore it and look at the real site. And then when you move it over, you can do that. So it doesn't matter. We're going to delete this site before too long anyhow. So now install WordPress. The big button, and hey, that was it. And so we just installed WordPress from scratch. And it didn't take, it took 10 minutes. It's not quite 5 necessarily, but if you're hustling, you can do it in 5. That's really all there is to it. WordPress is now live. We can log in. So we'll go to log in. All right, and there we go. There's our normal dashboard. Kill that. And if we go back out to the front of the site, you'll see just a normal, now May 21 Meetup is a generic default WordPress install. So that's the main gist of what's going on. And really, I can sort of take it from here wherever you guys want to go. My thought is we'll go look at the database again just for a sec so you can see WordPress put all the stuff in there. And then I'll just kind of walk through some of the next steps we would take, just editing settings and adding some plugins. And, if you guys have other thoughts on where you want to see it go, we can. But we've installed WordPress from scratch. But one other thought I think Susanna mentioned, if you need to upgrade manually, if somehow the WordPress automatic upgrader isn't working, that's the reason we keep a lot of these files in here. In FileZilla, just grab all those files and throw them all over again with the newest version, and that'll overwrite all your other ones, and you'll have it all. If you need to back up your site by hand, and there's great tools for backup, if you just want to have a local copy, just grab all the files there and put them somewhere on your computer on the side.
And your database.
And your database, yeah, and I'll show that in a second too. But yeah, if you ever need to back up your site, you're like, Backup Buddy's not working on my site or whatever, I just want to get a copy of myself. A lot of times before I work on a site, I just go in there and manually back it up and just put it on my desktop. Just in case something goes sideways, I've got a copy of it right there and I can fix it in about 30 seconds if worst came to worst. So again, this collection of files, which right now is 1,100 files, but as you add uploads and plugins and stuff, it'll grow to thousands potentially. If you're Renee back there, it's tens of thousands, other folks. But
So you're saying for backup, you need to copy all of your files on the right?
correct. Yeah. So to back this up, what I would do is on the left, I would probably just make a folder for my desktop or wherever, and say create a directory called May 21 backup, which is gonna be a weird name because it has the date in it. But yeah, and I usually put like the date like that just so I remember what that was from. And we have tools that do more regular backups. You don't want to probably do this all the time, but this is good for a quick one. Just say, yeah, so I take all these files, and I don't want to do it because it's going to kill internet more, but just drag them to the left, and it'll work through at the bottom here, ticking through all of them. You'll have all the files. So that's going to be all your plugins and themes and uploads. It's not any of your posts or pages or anything. All that's in the database. So we'll go look at that real quick, too, just so you can become a little more comfortable with that. So if we run back out to our cPanel, go back home. So good old cPanel. Down here, and different hosts do this different ways. HostGator and ClickHost do it pretty well. So we have our MySQL databases that we went in to create them. 2 over from there, in this case, or somewhere in that same neighborhood in any of them, a tool called PHP MyAdmin. It's just kind of a point-and-click way to look at your database and grab it back up, or even make little changes if you need. So let's click on that. What I like with HostGator and ClickHost and stuff is it usually logs you in directly. Some will say, hey, what's your database name and password? But it says, hey, you're already in the site. We'll just get you in. So now we're in. And again, you shouldn't need to go in here much. Feel free to poke around, but do not change anything unless you know what you're doing. If you change something wrong here, the site's done. On the left is all your databases. We just had the one, but if you had a site with multiples, you'd see May 21 WP and May 21, whatever the other names of the sites were. And if we click on that, on the right way here, it'll show us all the tables that WordPress made. So this is where we made a database that was blank. We installed WordPress and it set up all the shelves. It's got all these places ready for stuff. It's got for comments and for links and for posts and for users, and all that kind of stuff is in here. If you say, hey, I need to back up my site and I want to get a copy of all that, at the very top you can say export. There's a little export button. And just say, The quick usually works pretty well. It grabs everything, but if we go custom, we can look and say, hey, what tables do you want? We want all the tables, and just everything. There's a lot of options here, but all the tables is the main one. And say go, and it'll download a file. At the bottom, you just download a file. Oops, the mouse keeps doing that. May 21 right there, download a file. That little file is a backup of your database. If you say, hey Mickey, I need to move my site, here's the file of my database and here's a zip of my files, that's it. That's your entire site. All your widgets, all your posts, all your pages, all your themes, everything is in that critical little file there is the important one, but of course all your files are important too. But this is where your posts live, that's where your pages live, that's where your widgets live, that's where your options live, all that kind of stuff lives in that little file. So if you ever need to grab a manual backup, you can do it there. And if you ever need to, and hopefully your host or someone else would help you with this in most cases, but the import tab at the top, you can say, hey, take a file, chuck it in, and then it'll import your old database. You need to delete the current one first, so it gets a little scary when you have to go in and wipe out your whole one and then import the old file and hope it works. So this is where having a test site to play with, and it gets a little hairier there. But in theory, export to save the file, import to put it back up, works pretty well. And you can even browse around if you want some of these again. Hitting that browse button is fine, but just take your time back here. Some things like options you can look at and see things that make sense. Like, hey, there's the site URL, May 20 Media. There's the home page it goes to. There's the name of the blog. There's the description. And if you wanted, you could edit in here again. Not necessarily condoning that, but just saying this is where it all lives. This is what WordPress is going to change for you. If you go to the front of the site and say, hey, I'm not just another WordPress site anymore. I changed it. It would be updated in here. This is where that stuff actually lives, deep down. And we can come back to that if you have further questions. But again, I don't want to get too deep in there because typically you don't need to, other than just maybe grabbing a backup. But let's look at our site a little more. So if we had just done this, we just installed the site, and this is what it looks like if any of you install WordPress. This is out of the box. This is how it looks. So let's go just kind of randomly through some of the stuff we would do next, or I would do next. And again, if you have other thoughts on what you might want to do along the way, certainly I'm all ears. I would hit settings next and get rid of that silly just another WordPress site, because I know we've all seen it on sites that shouldn't have that there. They should have done something. If you don't know what to say, just kill it. Make it say nothing. Make it say something cute. If you have a business, hopefully you have an official tagline of some kind to use there. Certainly save that. Set your time zone. That can be good for comments. You can actually see when a comment was posted relative to you. If you see, hey, a new comment came in and it says it was 8:30 tonight, you did that. And that's really all on the main page we ever do. We'll just kind of walk through these. I'm not sure we change much on writing usually. We can look at categories later, but you can change where your default blog post category is. I usually just rename uncategorized to be blog or main or general or something, in case we forget on a post to put something, it doesn't look bad. Let's see. Reading, depending on your theme, usually your latest post is good for the front page, which they probably should update that, because on a lot of themes, you have to have it on your latest post to actually inherit the theme fanciness. They have their fancy home page. It relies on that setting. But if you want to say, no, I want our front page just to be a static page, the About Us text is what I want people to see. So you can say, all right, so I want a static page to be there, and then you could choose, okay, I want our front page to be, well, all we have is a sample page for now, but I want it to be that, and it would be that instead of all your latest posts. How many posts to show at a time on archive pages? How many posts to show at a time if people subscribe via RSS? If they subscribe to it, do they get every piece of text or just a little snippet of each? And then here's this big one again. This one is tucked away. This is very critical, good or bad. Discourage search engines from indexing the site. If you have that checked, you're saying Google, go away. And if you've ever seen, on a new site where traffic just falls off, it's because, oops, someone forgot to uncheck that. And they don't do a good job of reminding you. Again, if it's a test site, though, you do want that. You don't want Google indexing. So then they'll say, wait, here's this company site, and then here's this other site for this company it's just not a good thing. But certainly a very important little checkbox, however you need to use it. Discussion is up to you. I'm a big advocate of blog comments, even though we don't get a whole lot anymore. I still like to encourage them. But this is where you can play with the settings. I do like to have it email me when people post comments. If you want to make every comment approved ahead of time, you can check that box, and no comment will ever go without you saying, yes, that comment's allowed. At the top is where you can uncheck the box for allow people to post comments on new articles. The way WordPress does it, though, if you have a bunch of posts already and then you change that setting, those posts are still however they were set. You need to go change those separately. It's a little confusing. You can't just say all comments on or all comments off. You can only say, on going forward, all comments on or all comments off. And deal with it post by post. It's really kind of nice that way in that you can have comments on all the time, but if one post gets crazy and political or whatever, you can say, turn off comments just on that one, but let people talk on the other ones, and hopefully they'll be civil. Media, not a whole lot to do in here typically. If you want to change the way thumbnails show up, when you upload an image, WordPress will crunch it in a few different sizes for you. This determines how those sizes are. Your theme and other plugins may have their own other options in there. Genesis usually has its own little special pieces. But if you wanted to change the defaults there, you could. And then lastly over here is permalinks. This is how the links look on the top of your site. By default, it'd be may21meetup.com/p=123, which we usually don't want. I usually just say post name. It just puts the name of the post in the URL. It's how most of your sites probably are. It's how usually they should be. But you can change things a bit more, some of the defaults, or even put in your own kind of thing down here. If you wanted some word in between, or you could play with some of that. But just that normal post name one usually works. And if you wanted categories to be something other than /category or tags to be /tag, you could say, instead of categories, they could call groups, in your case. If I could spell. There we go. You could change those if you wanted. So we'll save that. And that's really the basic settings we have. One of the next things I usually do is I go into posts and just delete that hello world just so I don't forget later. Because usually we'll load a few posts on a site when we go live, but it looks bad when we say, hey, there's a good post, and there's hello world at the bottom, their oldest one. So just get rid of it now while you're thinking of it. Same with pages. I'll probably go ahead and just kill that sample page. And next we need to look at themes and plugins a little bit. So those I usually install via FileZilla as well, just because I have FileZilla open on my desktop all day long, so why not just use it just to toss stuff up. Certainly, there's no harm in uploading those through the uploader. I mean, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's not like with the Fantastico where they could do it different. But I'll show you some of what we have here. So, similar to WordPress itself, in our Dropbox, we keep a lot of our favorite plugins and themes, just so I have them handy enough to go download them again, do whatever. So look in themes here. We'll go to StudioPress. We love StudioPress. And then on the right side, so I'm going to get my themes right over here. On the right side, I want to put them in WP Content and Themes. That's where all the themes live. You can see it puts in the 2013, 2014, 2015. So we'll say, what would be a good one? We'll go with Executive Pro, and then with Genesis, you also need to upload Genesis. So we'll just drag all those over. So it's got 125 files, 116. We'll take it just a sec here. We'll let it go. You can stretch that window up if you want to watch, but nothing too exciting there. Again, the one thing to be careful is make sure that little failed thing doesn't fill up. You can see successful, that number keeps going up, and it doesn't matter what it gets to, but make sure failed doesn't start showing any issues there. If you run out of space on your hosting account or something goes sideways, that's where it'll be. So if we go back to our...
Do you make child themes?
Yes. In the case of Genesis, that is a child theme, but yes, in building a child theme is kind of a whole different discussion we've covered before, but yes, child themes are certainly advised. For those that aren't familiar, WordPress has their themes, which are great. And if you edit a theme a whole bunch of times, though, and then the author says, ooh, there was a security hole, upload the new version of our theme, you upload it, splat, all your changes are gone. And so a child theme, you buy this great theme from a company and make your own little child theme. It says, here's all the changes I make, keep using that, but make these changes. And if the author says, hey, a new version came out, it'll override the main one with the security fix, but all your changes are still safe. So that's it in theory. Again, depending on the theme company, it can be very easy or very hard. With StudioPress, with Genesis is the parent theme every time, and when you buy one of their sub-themes, Executive, that is a child theme. So it sort of does it for you. And all the hard work of the themes in Genesis. So if they ever have a security hole, they can just update Genesis for you, and you're safe, and your little child theme stays safe, and everybody's happy. Good question, though. So we go back into our site, appearance and themes. We'll magically have a few new ones in here. So there's Executive Pro. So we will activate that. It's going to look awesome without anything on it. There we go. That's so much better. Not really, but there's a site. So we're getting there, though. So we have our theme in place, and now it's just a small matter of customizing it, which will take you a few hours to a few months, depending on what you got going on. Or years, yeah. It can be. We've had projects that went a long time. But that gets us going at least, and then any theme you load will have its own documentation. And here's how you make it look like the demo. Load this plugin to do a slider if you want, and add the widgets here, and it'll walk you through some of that. But I'll show you some of the plugins we typically use. Again, it depends greatly on what's going on, what client is, what they need. But I'll show you just our list of plugins. We'll load a few up and see what they do. So again, on the right here, I'll get into that plugins folder. A stupid Hello Dolly. I still don't know why that's comes built into WordPress. I don't like that.
Was this owned by man?
I know, but still, I don't like it.
You're going right on Dolly?
I want as few plugins as I can have, and that's just one more cluttering up my list. But yeah, but the guy that Jetpack's only one plugin, just like Hello Dolly. They're the same. Yeah, exactly. Jetpack's just like 10,000 times bigger. That's all. But on the left here, we go back out of our themes. I have a plugins folder. I keep pretty up-to-date versions of most of our plugins. We try to keep it fully up-to-date, but we don't always in our folder. We keep them up-to-date on the site, certainly. But so we'll look through some of these. Kismet's already in there for anti-spam. Crazy Egg's a cool heat map tracking service you can use. Their free version is pretty limited, but it can show you can track where people are clicking on your site, so we install that a lot. Because we use Genesis a lot, I like a lot of the Genesis-specific ones. So I'll load some of those Genesis simple edits, simple hooks, simple sidebars. We wrote a plugin for blocking spam bots from hitting your Google Analytics, so we'll load that one in there. Let's see. iTheme Security Pro is the main security package we like to use. There's certainly other great ones out there. We like that one the best. In our case, we use Infinite WP. I know some of you do as well. Anyone else? Infinite? Kathy, you don't anymore? Okay, there we go. So a couple, not many. But if you manage a whole bunch of sites, there's services that can let you manage a whole bunch of sites from one control panel. In our case, that's that. Jetpack we have to have because it's awesome, and Diana loves it. No, I like Jetpack. Diana doesn't like it as much, but it's a good. Jetpack does a whole bunch of things. We'll look at Jetpack in a second and show you some of what it does. Yeah, it's a Swiss Army knife of plugins. Yeah, it does. It's basically like 50 plugins in one, but only weighs as much as like 3. I don't know. It's something like that. PushPress is one I like a lot, just to get your blog post out a little quicker. If you have an old site that they had this old HTML site, you've moved to WordPress, redirection is a good one because you can say, hey, that old about that HTML now goes to this page. You kind of point old URL to the new one so Google can understand where things went.
Simple social icons.
Yeah, I like simple social icons. Relevancy is kind of cool. It enhances the default WordPress search. You can fine-tune the search features a lot more. The free version is great. We have the premium one because they had a pretty good deal for developers. I can't remember what it costs, but we can use it as much as we want under the one fee, so that's pretty cool. So we'll load that in there. Soliloquy is great if you like sliders, if you want a slider. This theme supports it pretty well. Security Scanner is another antivirus kind of one, malware. TablePress if you need tabular information. We have some clients that have like lists of products, or we have a mall site with under their mall directory just a list of stores. You can have the suite number and the name of the store and the hours and the whatever you've got going there. Events calendar. Ultimate coming soon page is great if you are working on a client has this site over here. We're working on the new site. You can put that coming soon page up. So say, hey, if you're here, go away. You shouldn't be looking. But if anyone's logged in, they see the whole site. So you can say, hey, client, go log in. And you'll see the whole site, and they can browse around just like it's a live working site. But anyone else will just hit a brick wall. Velvet Blues update URLs. That's more development. If you change from a staging server to a live one, you might need that. We won't get into that. Oh, all kinds of fun plugins here. Widget Logic. There's a number of different ways to handle this, but in WordPress, that little sidebar area of widgets on your pages, by default, is the same set of widgets on every page, which may be good if you're like a blogger, often isn't good. You want to say, hey, on our About page, we don't want that. Or in our case, on our old site, we had a contact form in the sidebar of every page, which was kind of nice. Until you got to our contact page, we had a big form. So it looked kind of silly to have our big form and a little form on the same page. So we use widget logic to say, hey, show this little contact form on the side on every page except the contact page. Then just say, thanks, we're looking forward to hearing from you. You can do some neat things like that. WordFence, yet another security plugin. WordPress SEO, we'll talk a good bit about next month, but we'll go ahead and install it now. And then just, some older ones, some map ones, and we'll just drag over the ones we have, because that's going to take it a few minutes anyhow here. It's got, 2,000 files to load. So while they're going, as they start coming in, we can start activating a few of them and looking at them. Other plugins you guys always like to have?
List category posts that you have up there.
Okay, list category posts, If you have a zillion categories and stuff, yes, like food bloggers often do, that can be, the way it works on your site is brilliant too. I like that. That works very well. So.
If you have a lot of posts and you want a visual
Yep.
index of
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the list category post, that's a good one. Anything else? I mean, again, we have dozens others we use here and there as needed, but that's kind of that covers like 90% of what any one site might need. Into you can barely see it there, WP content plugins. Yep. And again,
You mentioned WordPress as a security, you said that was the other one. What was the first one you used?
iTheme security. And really the reason we did that, I consider them to be about the same, and they both have premium versions. I wanted one I could buy a premium version for all the sites we manage under a developer license, and iTheme security was much, much less expensive than WordFence. WordFence would have been thousands to do all our sites. And so I still use the free one at time to time. It has some good tools, but iThemes, again, they're about the same. A lot of them I consider to be about equally good. So, yeah, that was my criteria. So on a one-off site, maybe you do a little different. Let's see. So if we go into our site here, so under plugins, and again, if you want to install plugins from in here, that's perfectly fine. You can do the add new. It should work fine. Again, there's no difference in how you load plugins. It's more just my preference. Again, I already have files that will open. I already have my plugins there. I can just do that instead of hitting add new and searching and whatever you want to do. But here's some of the plugins they're starting to load in. So Kismet, I think a lot of you use that for spam. So we can activate that guy. They want you to put in a key. You need to have a key to make it work. The keys you buy from Kismet. There is a free option you have to kind of root around for. If it's a personal site, that's fine. Business sites, they want you to pay a little more. We pay a good bit, and just so that we can use the same key for all clients. So I keep a copy of the key in Evernote. So I can just click on that, put in a little key, and say, yep, we're legal, we're good to go. Won't worry about that now. But again, if you're a personal blogger, if you go to get in a key, it's going to say, how much do you want to pay? You can actually slide it to 0. And again, I still like to throw them a few bones because it's a good service. And there's other ones that will do similar, but that all in all does pretty well. Just to keep all the spammers that will try to leave bad comments, it does a phenomenal job of keeping all that out. So it's just legitimate comments that get through. Genesis Simple Edits. Again, we love StudioPress. This is a handy little plugin, so we'll activate it. And what this does is now in our Genesis menu on the left, it has simple edits. It's added that little option there. And it gives you just a couple places you can just make a few simple edits. Above the content where it says the posted by, it would say May 21st by Mickey, and it has this many comments, you want to edit it, you say, I don't want to say who it's by, or show the date. You can tweak some of that. So we could say, let's get rid of the date and just put their name there. Oops. Need to stop looking up there. You can clean up some of that easily there. Again, there's certainly other ways to do that in functions and tricky stuff, but this makes it really easy just to change a few of those things. And then the other one I like is changing the footer credits text. I usually have it just show the copyright, date stuff and get rid of all the other junk down there. And what's neat with that little short code is that'll keep the date up to date for you too. So come January 1st, it'll automatically roll to the next year. If you want to get fancy, you can check that box and do a whole bunch of stuff down there to change how the footer looks. But simple edits, that's it. That's all this plugin does for you. But again, it can be kind of convenient just to make those few simple changes you need. So that's been saved. So we'll go back to plugins. And again, one already has an update. Like I said, we keep them updated on our client sites, but in our Dropbox, not always as much. So Genesis Simple Hooks is kind of cool. This gets a little trickier, but WordPress in general and Genesis have hooks. Basically, if you look at your site, there's like little places where code can be stuck in, these little hooks. And this gives you just an easy way, instead of having to program it in, you can say, I just want to put some code here or there or somewhere else. And so in Genesis, under Simple Hooks, and there's other plugins and guides that can show you what they are, but says, hey, this executes immediately before the closing header tag, and this one before the closing body tag, and this one between the main title tags, and this one, let's see, at the beginning of the head tag, and this one after the opening body. It tells you where all these things happen. So I could say, like Genesis after header. So I can say, okay, after the header, I want to put, a lot of times people put banner ads. Say I have Google AdSense, I want to put a banner ad. Right after my main header, I want a big banner ad there. So you can put in, you go to Google and get your code, and just paste in that mess of code there for a banner ad, and poof, it'll show up on your site without you having to edit the templates and get too dirty in there. Advantages both ways, but this keeps it pretty easy. So if we do that and go out to our site, under the header, it says banner ad. So if that had been like full Google AdSense code or whatever, big picture, whatever you wanted, hey, it'd show up there. So it's kind of nice just to be able to put code in places that the theme doesn't natively do. Because here, normally we can put our title, our body, and our sidebar, and the hooks let us kind of put things elsewhere. That's a handy little plugin. Let's see what else we got. Genesis Simple Sidebars does kind of like I mentioned before with Widget Logic, about lost the name there, where you can build separate sidebars for different pages. There's other plugins. These 3 plugins, again, are only for StudioPress themes. There are comparable versions for other kinds of themes, but again, we use them so often. I like their plugins. This lets you go in later. Let's see, under Simple Sidebars. And so basically you can set up different sidebars. Okay, by default, this comes with all these sidebars on the side. Different themes have different widget areas. And so we're going to make a new one called, like in our case, maybe the contact page. Contact page. And I'll leave a little description saying this is for the contact page so that we don't show the duplicate form, like I mentioned a minute ago. We can do it this way. So add a new sidebar. So under Appearance and Widgets. So in Widgets, again, it's kind of a whole different meetup. If you're not familiar with them, I'm going to glaze a little bit on. I apologize. We can cover those at some point. But on the right are all our widget areas. There's all the built-in ones. Hey, there's a new one called Contact Page. And so it works just like any other widget area. You can drag stuff over there. So we'll take a little text box, drop it in there, and say, please use the form on the left to reach out to us. Because we know it's only going to be on the contact page, and when they see that, there's going to be a form on the left. And maybe it would word it different, because if they're on a mobile device, things will shift a little bit, and there won't be anything on the left, but you get the idea. But if we go into a page now, we'll make a new page on the site. And theoretically, we have all our other pages in here. We'll make a new page called Contact Form. And we build the whole form here. I'm not going to really build a form right now, but name, email, whatever you're going to ask there. But on the right here, down a little lower, it says Sidebar Selection. What do you want to use? This little section right here. If you can't see, it's a little small. By default, it's just going to use the main primary sidebar. We say, hey, in this case, use that contact page sidebar I created. I want to use that just on that one page. And so now if we publish, as they're going through the site, you'll see the main sidebar everywhere, but on the contact page, you'll see the special one we made just for that page. So another handy little plugin. Let's see. Let's just look at FileZilla. FileZilla's done, so everything else has been uploaded now, so we're good there. GM Block Bots, again, that's the one that blocks SE malt and buttons for website and all that garbage that shows up in Google Analytics. Activate that. And there's nothing else to see. We made it where it just works, or you turn it off. There's no forms or anything. Now it's back there blocking that stuff.
How often do you update that?
We update it weekly or so. Yeah, we need to update it today or tomorrow. I have another list. People send us emails often. We have an email address for it. They say, hey, this one showed up, and I verify, and then we add them in. There's other ones out there that will update automatically, like the plugin will go to a server to get a list and keep it automatically updated, but some people aren't comfortable with installing plugins that are running out to servers, so this way, I figured it kept it simple. People can choose to update it. It's just a static thing. They can look at the code. It doesn't do much. There's no fuss. So yeah, advantages both ways. iTheme Security Pro, cool. We'll activate that guy, and it has a ton of options. I don't think we want to run through them just because, in theory, it could take quite a while to go through them all, but it does tons of things in terms of restricting access to files and blocking people that try to log in too much and blocking countries and behaviors and all kinds of crazy stuff. Susanna uses that quite a lot. She probably knows more. So if you have questions about that in particular, bug her afterwards.
But it's a paid plugin.
Yeah, that one, yeah, we have the Pro, but they have a free one as well. The Pro one does a little bit more. Jetpack, we'll spend a quick minute looking at Jetpack.
Woohoo!
Yay, Jetpack. So what Jetpack does, so your Jetpack's almost ready, connect to WordPress.com. And where most of the power of Jetpack comes from is you need to have an account on WordPress.com. Now we installed the software from WordPress.org. That's the free software you download and load on your server like we did. WordPress.com, you go set up an account and everything's hosted by them. Jetpack kind of merges the two a little bit where it's going to use your server as it was, but it'll offload some of the heavier things to them, which your hosts may like at time to time. The problem, as Diana and others will point out, is this is a big plugin. We talk about having fewer plugins on your site, the better. I would say this counts as, 3 or 4. It's really pretty streamlined for what it does, but it's still pretty robust.
Well, I learned it is a big plug-in, but you can turn, if you're conscious about turning off all the things that you're not actively using,
Yep.
it really doesn't eat up a lot of resources.
Right. And it does some neat things. So again, you got to decide if you're going to turn off everything but one feature, well, then probably get a different plugin to handle that one feature. But in a lot of cases, in my case, when this came out, it replaced like 5 other plugins we were using. Instead of 5 different plugins, Jetpack did all of them. So in that case, the trade-off was well worth it. But if we connect to WordPress.com, we will go ahead and connect that real quick because that'll open up some other options. I'll show you what she was talking about if we connect here. So it's going to connect me. It's just so it can tie it to my WordPress.com account. And you can connect as many as you want to your account. I have tons of Jetpack things set on mine. But under settings is where you get into all this. And I don't want to go through all these because we could have a meetup about just the settings in Jetpack. The one frustrating thing Diana alluded to, it activates a lot of them automatically. A lot of these features that you don't need. Like beautiful math is cool. It's a neat way to show formulas. Most of us don't need that, but it's active. So let's turn that one off. Contact form. It has a neat plugin, or neat extension, I guess, to add contact forms, which could be useful. If you need a contact form, you've got it built in. But if you're going to use something else, Gravity Forms or Wufoo or whatever, then don't have it worry about this and turn that one off. And again, you kind of go through this. It's a huge list of stuff it does. I guess what I'll do instead, you could go through one at a time and turn most of them off. A few that I really like, in particular, are Jetpack comments. Again, I like comments on the site. This enhances it a little bit, where people can sign in with social and some of that. Markdown, a few of us were talking about that beforehand, kind of a geekier way to write your posts. I think I'm probably the only one that uses it. I hope you use it some. 2 of us use it. So.
I just wrote a plugin for it for slides, so I
Okay.
can show you that.
All right, cool. Yeah, I like Markdown. It's just, yeah, most of you won't probably. But if you have more of a programmer mentality, you can use that. It's built in. A mobile theme. Hopefully your site's mobile responsive by now, but if it's not, this is a cheap way to make it at least mobile friendly until you can get there. What else do I like? Notifications is good. More notifications. Photon is one. Could be very useful. It's a bit buggy at times, but what it does, it takes all your photos and makes a copy of them on the WordPress.com server. So if you have a ton of pictures on your site, if you're a photographer or something, the first time they load, it'll load off your server, and then WordPress will make a copy on their server. And going forward, every other visitor will get the copy from there, which theoretically makes things load a little faster. Your host won't complain that you're using too many resources, some of that. Kind of a nice one.
It's good for our food blogger friends.
There you go. But again, it can get a little buggy at times, so there's better ways to handle that. But
There's issues if you migrate to another host.
yeah, that's the migration issues and.
Back to Markdown real quick. Does Markdown basically take the Markdown that is like town, title, pound, whatever, convert it to H1 and then H2, basically for the pages, or what is it?
It keeps it as Markdown in the back end, but just when it displays the pages, it shows them.
So it adds the HTML marker. It converts.
It converts, yes, exactly. Yes. So I've done a lot of my posts. I can show you later. I've written in Markdown, and in the back, if you go look at it now in the back end, they're all in Markdown with this weird language. But if someone views the post on the site, Jetpack converts it and makes the H1s and bolds and links and all the stuff it needs to.
And can you decide whether to use Markdown per page or per post?
Yeah, if you use it, it converts it. If you don't, it doesn't. Yeah, there's no toggle. It's just.
How do you know if you use it? What if you have a pound sign in your text?
If it's in the middle of the text, it has to be on a line by itself to use it. But if you have a pound sign on a line by itself that you want to be a pound sign, then it's going to mess you up, yes. So it's going to assume that you're trying to use Markdown if it detects any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, so again, for most of you, don't activate it, just keep that turned off. But yeah, there could be, I think it'd be rare, but if you happen to have a pound space and some words as your text, it's going to say, hey, that's Markdown, it's an H1,
Well, I mean, if you do ordered lists or any other things that Markdown uses, or
Right.
ordered lists, will it go by now too?
Yeah, you pick up those. Yeah, that's what I like it for, some of that. But
Okay.
yeah. Markdown would be a whole fun meetup, but there'd be like 4 of us here, so we won't probably do that. OmniSearch is kind of neat. It's a back-end search. Lets you search if you're saying, where did I put that? I know I talked about this one thing one time. It does a neat back-end search for you. Post by email. No, most of us don't need. What else is in here that I liked?
Related post.
Oh, related post. Sorry, yes. Related post is a good one because this is one that most hosts hate. If you talk to your web host, they say don't use any related post plugins because they're so hard on the server for all the crunching it has to do to figure out what posts go with it. And this is, at the end of a post, here's my post all about chocolate chips, chocolate chip cookies. You'll have other posts that are similar to that WordPress will automatically figure out what posts are related. That's a lot of work on a server to come up with. And so what's neat about this is it keeps a copy of all your posts on the WordPress.com servers, and every time it needs it, it says, hey, WordPress.com, what other posts do they have that are like that? Cool. It sticks them in. Your host is happy. It loads quick. It does a good job. So we use that on a lot of sites. That's a
site icon.
Okay, yeah, I haven't used that. Is that favicon, I
Yep.
assume? Okay, I do that manually, but there you go. So if you hit the little icon at the top of your browser, is the site icon one. The sharing one is kind of cool. I use that for a lot of our sharing posts. Like at the end of each post, let's share this on Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus, whatever. It's pretty plain Jane and simple, but works well. Again, if you already have it in here, use it. If you prefer a different plugin, then deactivate this one so you're not wasting the resources. Subscriptions is the other one I was thinking of. This is neat. At the end of each post, it will say, hey, check this box if you want to be notified of other people that leave a comment after you did, or check this box if you want to be notified of all new posts on the site. As a user, I love that because I hate leaving a comment on a blog and not having that option, and then saying, well, I need to remember to go back later and see if someone replied, and I never do. So it's nice when I can just check that box, and later I get an email saying, hey, Ashley also left a comment. She said you're wrong, and I can go up there and Ashley and I can argue all day. And that's kind of how that goes. So that's kind of nice. That also creates a widget for you that you can drag to your sidebar so people can sign up to get emails of all your posts. The one drawback is that those are all handled by WordPress.com again, which is great. You can't really get access to those email addresses and stuff. So you're typically better off using a MailChimp or something like that. But again, it's built in, drag it over, you're done. It's easy. Most of these, I would say, are easy and great, and there's a better solution if you need just that piece. You know, the form builder in here is great. Not as good as Gravity Forms or Woofu or any of those. You know, all these pretty much have better alternatives elsewhere, but good enough for most cases. Tile galleries can do neat things with your galleries. WordPress.com stats. I wouldn't rely solely on that, but that's kind of nice. I usually turn that on if I have it because, again, it doesn't add much load to the server because it's just pounding on the WordPress.com servers. Google Analytics is usually what you would want for stats, but this can give you a quick just sneak peek in your editor of what's going on. So that's Jetpack. That's one plugin that does all this kind of stuff. So again, if you're going to make use of half a dozen, cool. If you're not, then maybe find alternates. Typically, we'll make use of 6 or 8 of those though, and it's worth a while. Some others here. Push Press is a very simple one. It won't actually do anything when you turn it on. It enables pub sub hubbub support for your blog, which I know you've all been hoping to find and waiting for that. But what that does is it typically, if someone follows your blog via an RSS reader or something, that read like Feedly, I know some of you use Feedly, it'll run out and check to see if there's a new post every 30 minutes or 60 minutes or so. What this does is it pings everyone automatically and says, hey, there's a new post, they get it instantly. The one place this can help a bit more is with duplicate content issues. If you have people stealing your content a lot, which I guarantee people are stealing your content, my general philosophy is just let it go. Don't worry about it. Just make sure Google knows that you're the original author. Because they're not going to penalize you or anything. They're just going to say, hey, there's 5 copies of this article. Who's the original one? That was the original one, so forget the rest. Make sure Google knows you're the original one. This is one thing that will help with that a little bit. Because as soon as you hit publish, ping Google, hey, there's a new post. Google will see yours first before the other guys steal it and hopefully give you more odds of being the top ranked one. But again, it's a teeny tiny plugin. We talk about plugin sizes. That one's like that big, so why not? Relevancy, we talked about, adds some search ability on your site, I guess. So if you add the little search widget to your sidebar, we'll go and look at it real quick.
What does the premium give you that over the free one?
I don't remember.
Okay.
There was enough to give it. I think part of it was it added a few little things, but they had a great developer package. It was like $80 or something. I could use as many copies as I wanted. So I'm like, all right, for $1 a site, for that, whatever. I can't remember what it was, but it was worth doing. But it gives you all kinds of, I don't want to get into all this, but tons of options of what order should things be in by date or relevance. Should you limit searches? What weights? This is where it gets cool. You say post titles. Titles are super important. I name them great. I want those to be super important. Internal links, I want to count for less. And you kind of go through and say, how do things matter in here? Posts should be, 10 times more important than pages are on my site. You kind of really finesse how the search results flow. If you're not happy with the default WordPress one, it gives you a lot of fine tuning to make it come up the way that you think makes more sense for you. So a case would be like with Renee. Maybe she would say dates don't matter at all. Really, I wouldn't think. If someone's looking for chocolate chip cookies, the article from 4 years ago is great. Whereas, other people say, no, the article of 4 years ago about SEO is stupid. I need to have dates be more important. This lets you really fine-tune how that works. So, kind of a good plugin. And what got me into that was we talked a few months ago with Google Analytics, how you can track what people are searching for on your site, which is a gold mine. You know what people are wanting on your site that you need to give them. And as part of that, I said, well, I need to make those results better too. And so that's why I got into this. And this seems to be the best plugin for that. There's certainly other options out there, though. Let's see. Simple social icons is a good one. So we have, in Jetpack, it has the sharing icon. So that's the, go share this on your Facebook, go share this on your Twitter, that kind of thing. Simple social is, here's our Facebook, here's our Twitter, come like us and love us. And so what this does when we activate it, it's very simple. Again, there's not a lot of options. You may want something better, but this does a good job most of the time. If we go to widgets, let's see, our primary sidebar would be a good place probably. There's a magic thing in here called Simple Social Icons. So if we drag it over, gives us some options. So I would say something like, come like us. And you can choose how big the icons will be, how round they'll be, where they're aligned, what the colors are. The one catch with this plugin, all the icons will be the same color, which can look nice. You make it blend in with your site better. But if you want the Facebook blue and the Twitter blue, the Pinterest red, all the different colored ones, this won't do that. But if you want to just look nice and classy and blend in with the same mauve you have on the rest of your site or whatever, you can do that. Can't look color.
Our designers are all rolling their eyes.
Let's make this very
You're a
clear.
designer in the 80s?
Yeah, there you go. My mom loves mauve still. Yes. But what you do in this plugin is just say, okay, here's the links, and they have some built-in ones. If they don't have one, you don't. If they're missing one that you want to use, it's challenging to fix. I would find a different plugin. You say, yeah, I want people to be able to email me, so let's have a little email one show up. And I want to see my Facebook page, so, facebook.com/whatever. Flickr, GitHub, Google+, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, RSS feed, whatever you want to put. If you put anything in the box, it'll add the icon for us. So we'll say, okay, really you wouldn't want to do that. You put in the full feed.
Which is just /feed.
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 But you want to be careful with that, because if it's on a sub page, it could grab the, it's your site URL feed, but yes. But we'll save that.
Don't see the option to open those links in a new window.
Yeah, at the very top here, there was open links in a new window. So if you want to do that, So we'll click back to our site, and there's our little icon. So our simple social icons, it's in the default gray. I did not make them mauve. I know Allie likes mauve, but we didn't go there. But you can make them whatever color you want, make the hover color what you want, change the roundness of them, change the size of them. It's a pretty cool little plugin. It generates the icons themselves with a font, so it saves a lot of speed. They're tiny little font-based icons, so it's not like it's loading an image and a hover image, and it does it pretty quick. So again, it's one we like. There are 50 other ones that are just as good that do it a little bit different that may suit you better, but that's a neat one there. Let's see. Back to plugins. What else did we load? Oh, and then WordPress SEO. So WordPress SEO by Yoast. There's a few other SEO plugins. If you have a different one on your site, all-in-one SEO or one of those, keep it. If you don't have one, though, I think there's almost no reason not to use that one. It's a great plugin. And again, we'll get into that more next month. We talk about blogging and how to use the keywords and where to put them and do all that kind of stuff. The neat thing with that plugin, just turning it on and activating it does some things for you out of the box. You don't even have to know what you're doing. That helped. There's certainly a lot you can do to take it further. It's a great plugin that it serves everyone. If you don't know what you're doing, turn it on, activate it. It's going to help you a little bit. If you're like me and you really want to dig into geeky, it supports all that too, and you can really fine-tune things. So it's a great plugin for pretty much all ranges there. So, that's really about it for plugins and stuff. We've got our site looking horrible still, but that wasn't really what today was about. It was more about just getting it installed, understanding what you have, how to get it going, and other questions about
Could you just go into a little more information about the Genesis? At what point do you I guess, activate that or load that?
Okay, about Genesis itself?
Yes.
Okay, so for Genesis, we don't ever activate it per se. It's a framework. When we go in, let's get in our themes here. Oh, shut up, Yoast.
For those of us that are confused about what Genesis is and that vocabulary that you use.
Okay, so Genesis is confusing to explain. It's a framework, basically. It's saying, I want to build a theme, but I don't want to write all the code for it. I just want to make it look pretty. Genesis does all the heavy lifting, and you can write a theme that Genesis does all the hard work. You can just make it look good. There's other, Woo has a framework like that. Elegant Themes, a lot of companies have frameworks like that, where it's a big framework you have to load, and then you load a little sub-plugin. And as we talked about earlier, the sub-plugin is a child theme. So if anything goes, there's nothing in there that does any work. So no security issues with it. If Genesis has a bug, they can update that and not mess up your precious little child theme. So what happens in here, I had to load both. For me to activate Executive, Genesis has to be in here. Close that. If Genesis wasn't in here, it would say, sorry, you can't activate executive. Show you. Let's go back to 2015 for a sec. So we're back on 2015. I just reactivated the default one. We'll go into our FileZilla, to themes, and we'll just delete Genesis. And so now if we go back in our themes, we'll give just a sec here. It's a fairly robust set of stuff here. There we go. So Genesis is gone. So now if I go back into my themes, we'll refresh this view. Actually, they have it now. Executive doesn't even show up. Okay. It used to be executive would be there. You'd hit activate and say, sorry, you can't. You don't have Genesis. Now I'm like, hey, executive's in there. I just saw it. Where is it? Genesis is there. So there's not really a step to activate Genesis. I guess it's kind of the long way around getting to that. Activate your child theme, and it's going to use Genesis automatically.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I asked that wrong. At what point in time do you upload Genesis? I mean, is that something you do on the front end of all of this?
Yeah, you need to do that, right at the beginning, to be able to edit, because I want to edit that child theme.
Right.
And so to be able to get to that point, I need to have Genesis in there to be able to see it, manipulate it.
He selected it when he selected executive and dragged them over at the same time.
Yeah, maybe you're asking that. Yeah, if I go into Studio Press, when I uploaded executive earlier, I grabbed executive here. I also grabbed Genesis and uploaded them both at the same time.
Okay.
But yeah, I do that like first. Yeah, okay, it could be because I did that kind of quick. Yeah, I upload both, and again, it's got its 70 more files that's going, but until I do that, I can't do anything. And you could go in with 2015 and start adding some posts and some pages, but if you want to get into your design and your widgets and all that, you need to have your final theme in place. So yeah, that's like the first thing we do when we get to that stage. Again, our process, we work through wireframes and a lot of stuff outside of the site first, but when it's time to get going, we say, okay, get Genesis in, let's get to work, and that has to come early. So now, just uploaded it again. If we go back in and refresh, you see Genesis, which actually you can activate as a theme, but you don't want to. Again, you want to use a child theme. There's executive, magically reappeared. We can reactivate it, and we're good to go. Other questions? Yeah.
You don't want the site anymore. How do you remove it?
You don't want the site at all anymore?
Yeah. How do you remove it?
Well, you could just go in. A few ways to. Depends how much you want to remove it. Ultimately, you're paying a hosting company for it. So I'll call them and say, hey, cancel my account, and it'll wipe everything out. If you need to just something with sideways, you need to temporarily remove it, you could just go to the root. I'm in the root folder back in our public HTML, and there's index. I can just take index and name it something else, and it's going to go sideways, and the site essentially won't exist. That's one way to kill it. If we go back, to here. I assume we should just throw an error. Yeah, well, actually, it gives you don't want that either, but there's different ways to kill it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's expired, you don't want it.
Yeah, I would just call the hosting company and say, hey, hosting company, I'm paying you $10 a month for this thing, please cancel it. And they'll say, okay, and they'll delete it and stop charging you for it. Really, the better way to handle it, if it was just a one-time thing, a temporary measure, I guess, if we go back in, the site's magically back now, I would load that Ultimate Coming Soon page, which would pretty much hide the site. And what you can do with it is kind of tricky. We'll go in, let's go, so we're back in FileZilla. I want to go to WP Content and Plugins, and on the left, I want to go to all my plugins. We will grab, wherever it went, Ultimate Coming Soon page. And what we can do with this now is use this Ultimate Coming Soon page and make the page be nothing. Just make it a white page that doesn't even say Coming Soon or anything on it. I'll give it, it's got 8 more files to load here. So if we go into the back end of our site, so really that's probably what I would do. I'm always hesitant to delete something unless I'm really, really sure. You can go into FileZilla and just say delete everything and it's all gone. And then talk to your host and then cancel it. But again, if I can help it, I'd rather not delete everything just in case I wasn't right. This plugin gives you a pretty good safety net. So we go in here, Ultimate Coming Soon page, we'll activate it. And then it's under Settings, Coming Soon. And with the plugin activated, it doesn't do anything yet. We have to tell it now to be enabled. So yes, enable it. And then here's where you add an image and a headline and description saying that we're coming soon, check us out, email us, connect with us. We'll leave all that blank. And say Save Changes. And here's where this plugin's neat. Now if we go back to the front of the site, it's going to look exactly the same because we're still logged in. It says you're an admin, so we're going to ignore that coming soon. But if I were to do like an incognito window where I'm not logged in, to May21meetup.com, it's just going to be a blank screen. So this, like I said, is good for development. You say, okay, we're working on this May 21 meetup, so if anyone happens to stumble upon it, they don't see anything. But, oh, Mr. Client, yes, you want to see what's going on, cool. Log in, and you can browse around. It looks just like a normal, fully functional site. Yeah?
Can I ask you more about the test sites?
Sure.
If it was a regular HTML site, I would just copy it and use like GitHub or GitHub.
Okay.
But with WordPress, do you do it pretty much the same way you showed us earlier today about downloading WordPress?
Yeah, the way I usually do it is, I would go to my test site, download all the files, download the database, and then go to the live site and push everything up there and connect it. There's tools, Backup Buddy and other tools can help automate that a little bit. Again, it's quick enough. I'd prefer personally, I'm in the minority, I think, to do it manually that way. With Backup Buddy, what are other good migration plugins? Anybody? Kathy, what do you use? Which is Backup. Okay, so Backup Buddy is a common one people use. But yes, if you go in, I just grab all the files, grab the database, go to the new site, files, database. You probably have to change that WP config because your test server has a different database name and password than the new one. Update that. But yeah, that's.
Well, you've also got, if you have like images inside your posts, your pages, sometimes WordPress throws in the whole URL.
Right, yeah, you do have some.
And Backup Buddy will do the search and replace on the database to update all.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, Backup Buddy do that automatically. That was the one I use is imperfect but does pretty well. It's the Velvet Blues update URLs. You can move it to the live site and say, hey, find all the things that say test and change them to the live one, and it runs through the whole database and fixes it. And the other thing that's neat is if you do it this way, where it's live, if it's an existing site, you have to leave the old one up and then move the files over when it's time to live. And there's different ways to do that. If it's a new site, hey, I'm starting a brand new company called May21meetup.com. You can build the site like this, and when it's time to go live, just take off the coming soon, and it's live. You don't have to update any files or upload anything. It's just you just take away that coming soon page, and you're live. We have a few sites like that now that are getting ready to launch. And when they say it's go time, we say cool, click, you're live, and we already know it worked. We've already tested everything. That can be kind of nice too. Other questions?